Hi everyone, welcome to a very quick, short attention span webinar. Kelly, we have a bunch of slides here, so we are going to rumble right through them. Have you ever done DISC, Kelly?
I have not. That's why this is going to be interesting for me. So everyone's going to have to forgive me a little bit if I'm not completely on my game.
No. That never happens. DISC is it's a test that you take that studies your personality type. It is fascinating. I highly recommend that you take DISC. It's about a $25, $35 test. You get a report which will absolutely blow you out of the water as to how well they know you. And it's essentially, pick 4 words, and then which one of these 4 describes you the most, the second most, the third most, and the least.
Got it.
Okay, so D stands for dominance, I for influencing or influencer, S for steadiness, and C for conscientiousness. The way this works, Kelly, it helps because, if I know what kind of a personality type you are, then I know how I need to speak so that you can hear what I'm trying to say, and then I need to know how to listen so that you feel heard. That's really that's the big thing. But it does everything on this page. It shortens the connections. It helps with shortens the selling cycle. It helps build relationships, all kinds of things like that. Let's talk first about dominance. The dominant is exactly what it sounds like. This is the Alexander Hagues, the I'm in charge. These are the big, heavy personalities that are the larger than life. And I am the hammer and you're the nail. Best summed up by direct and decisive. So I'm purchasing and you're the little sales rep. Now, how you want to face this group is with strength. They will respect the comeback. They will respect, if they're going to be strong, you need to be strong. But just know that early on, you are going to be tested. And if you waver, you'll never recover. Okay, so going into this, if you hear that somebody really has this personality type, make certain that you get all your ducks in a row. And then make your ideas their ideas. That's the best one that I've found out. So Kelly, now, if you've heard this for the first time, and you know what type of person you're going to be dealing with, how does this change your presentation? What do you think you'd emphasize?
It seems like I'd want to really stay on point, be very concise, be very specific. And it's interesting because when I read this, I think a lot about gender. And as a woman, I would actually, my initial reaction to dealing with a person like this would probably be to foster that ego and allow them to maintain that dominant personality and let them continue to feel very powerful. And it's interesting that your point is to stay, to be strong and stay strong. It just kind of looks it's an interesting study, I think, in gender that the perspective of dealing with a dominant personality is to stay strong in face of the dominancy. And my initial gut reaction would be to support that dominance. But again, I could see it. I really could see it from both sides. But again, I think it's important to probably stay specific, be concise, and stay focused.
You know what? I think it's good that you haven't done DISC because you're getting a fresh approach on all this stuff.
Exactly.
Next up is the influencer, and I am an influencer, and this is a shocker. But when I took this, it came back as what's called a high I. So I had a very classic sales rep / leader, speaker, teacher kind of a personality profile. So optimistic and outgoing is the best way to identify this type of person. This is the Bill Clinton type of person. Somebody who really brings in emotion and energy. They're very outgoing. Seth Godin would call them sneezers. These are people that are constantly telling you about a book that they read, or a perfume that they're wearing, or a movie that they saw. These are influencers. Most salespeople find them really easy to sell to. They're just waiting. They want to get excited. They want to help you. They want to get liked. The key is to get them excited, but just make sure that they've got signature power. Because if you think to yourself, "Oh, this is great," they're excited about it too, and they say, "Well, we got to run this by marketing." Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Killer. All right, Kelly, there you go. Here's another fresh approach. Knowing that you're talking to someone that has these characteristics and this personality type how does this change your presentation or how you might speak with them?
Well, like, I don't think it necessarily changes anything, but you definitely want to stay focused on enthusiasm. You want to, I would say, keep with excitement and appeal to those kinds of elements of what they want to hear. However, I think the one thing that you mentioned at the very end that would make me give pause would be to make sure that I'm doing a good job of qualifying them, to really get them to articulate what their position is, to make sure that I understand that, as you said, they've got the signing power, or that at least they can get me to the person who's going to have the signing power.
Yeah, and I think the key here is to personalize this. So if I run across a point where I'm talking about, a 20% growth or a 20% response rate, I'm going to ask the influencer, what is this? What would that mean to you? Because that invokes emotion, and that's what I want.
And they're probably visualizers too. So if you get them in that emotional space where they're thinking about it, and when you mention like, what does it mean to you? That's the kind of thing that will appeal to them because it's language and it's feeling and emotions, which is probably pretty strong for them.
The S's are, S stands for steadiness. These are the Charlie Browns, the best way to put it, those Charlie Brown types. They're sympathetic and cooperative are the words that I found online that best describes this group. These are people that just want the status quo. But if you can convince them that there's a better way and it's in the best interest of the team, they'll go along with it. Okay? This is a tough group. I really struggle with this group personally because of that third bullet point. They give very little nonverbal, and I really like I like that response because I'm looking for clues. I'm looking in their eyes. I'm looking at their body language, and this group gives very little. So this is the consistent, the predictable. Knowing that, Kelly, I'm making a presentation to someone. Is there something I'm going to emphasize or something special I'm going to do?
It seems, based on this, that what you'd want to focus on would be partnering together, that we're working on teams, what we can accomplish when we work together, and really in talking about enlisting their help. People that are sympathetic and cooperative tend to really respond to, those kinds of, I could really use your help in assembling this team together, things like that they want to help. They want to be a part of a team. They want to think about goals and think about, what can be accomplished together. So again, we really want to emphasize that we bring, resources and that we can be a partner and talk about what goals we can accomplish together, I think would be a pretty good way to focus.
And then finally, there's the conscientious, or the conscientiousness. I've seen this best described as, if we're staying with the Charlie Brown theme, this is Linus. Isn't that great? I love that.
Yeah.
With the blanket and whatnot.
Sure.
These are the concerned and correct. Now, with a group like this, you got to be, whoa, there's lightning.
Oh, boy.
You got to be very, I guess God is a C. You've got to be very concerned, or maybe it's 4, concerned and correct. So you want to make certain that when you're speaking to this group, you're understanding that they're all about value. Okay? They want to have a systematic approach. That's the key point. And Kelly, I get back to that question. If you're speaking to someone who likes to responds well to a systematic approach, how does this affect your presentation?
Again, I think you want to focus on execution. You want to focus on plans. It probably would be very valuable to use some anecdotal selling with them and tell them about other situations in which you dealt with a particular challenge that a company had and how you put together a plan to achieve it and, what problem you solved and what the results were. You definitely would probably want to make sure that your numbers were very accurate and that you were to say, we increased their response rate by 17%, that's something that you could back up documented-wise. So
yes.
Case studies would probably be very helpful here. And again, that kind of anecdotal situation where you can kind of tell about other stories. And again, very much focused on planning and execution.
I read, by the way, Kelly, that 60% of the buyers, professional buyers, are either S's or C's. They're either, is that goal, steadiness, or conscientious?
I believe
so
it.
From a goal standpoint, there's a ton of information that is available on this subject, and I really want to encourage you to go and look into it. But your goals here, you want to be able to identify very quickly what type of a person you are dealing with so that you can learn what you need to do and what you need to avoid when you are communicating with them. But also, I know which group I work best with when I understand one from another. So if I can quickly identify, the hard part is most of this is done over the phone. So you've got to ascertain, you've got to know what questions to ask, what clues to look for, and a lot of them are nonverbal. So that you don't have that ability because you're not looking at them. This is a whole science, this idea of different personality types. So I would suggest you all Google DISC, D-I-S-C training. Take that test online. Read about the PDF that comes to you. That is it's what's the word? Not an anagram, but anyway, it's customized to you. So. And it'll blow you away about how well you are read just through this test. So there you go, Kelly.
Well, I'm going to go take it.
For the week. Yeah, you should. Very cool. Very cool. All right, everybody. Thank you, Kelly. You were definitely on your game today. Great feedback.
Thanks.
And we'll talk to you all next week on the Short Attention Span webinar. Thanks, Kelly.